The Imperial flagship Dominator cut silently through the cosmos, its silver hull glinting under distant suns. On the command bridge, Admiral Tal, his scaled skin reflecting the blue glow of control panels, queried his subordinate. "How much longer until we reach this Earth?" he asked, the word alien on his forked tongue. 3 hours, Admiral, Commander Mox replied, tapping a transparent screen. "Our scout ships have already entered their solar system and report minimal defensive capabilities." Admiral Tal nodded, his yellow eyes narrowing. The Emperor had assigned him many first contact missions, but this one seemed trivial. These humans had barely reached their own moon. Their technology was rudimentary, and their planet was fragmented by competing factions. They would be easily integrated into the Empire. "Prepare the standard intimidation formation," Admiral Tal commanded. "Let's show these primitives true cosmic power." Behind the Dominator, 20 warships arrayed themselves flawlessly, each capable of obliterating an entire city from orbit. This display of might had subdued hundreds of other species. It would work on humans too. As the Imperial fleet neared Earth, they detected unusual activity. The humans had spotted them, and were scrambling their own vessel's tiny, awkward craft powered by chemical rockets. Admiral Tal almost chuckled. "Look at those crude ships," sneered Commander Mock. "They use combustion engines. How haven't they exploded yet?" "Remember, Commander, we were all primitive once," Admiral Tal remarked, though a faint smile touched his lips. "Open communication channels. Let's see if they can at least speak properly." The main screen flickered, revealing a human face. General Tom, head of Earth's Unified Defense Command. His calm demeanor surprised Admiral Tal. Most species trembled when first confronting the Imperial fleet. "Unknown vessels, this is Earth Defense Command. You've entered restricted space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose." Admiral Tal stepped forward, rising to his full 8-foot height. "I am Admiral Tal of the Galactic Empire. Your planet has been observed by Emperor Drax, ruler of 1,000 worlds. We offer you the chance to join our glorious empire as a protected territory." General Tom's expression remained impassive. "And if we're not interested in this opportunity?" The question caught Admiral Tal off guard. "Most species begged for entry. Then we would be compelled to demonstrate the benefits of our protection," Admiral Tal stated, his voice chilling. "Your world faces many dangers in this galaxy. It would be unfortunate to face them alone." General Tom nodded slowly. "I see. Let me be clear. Admiral Ertz is not interested in becoming anyone's protected territory. We welcome peaceful relations, but we will defend our independence." Commander Mox burst into laughter. "Defend with what? Those metal cans you call spaceships?" Admiral Tal raised a hand to silence his subordinate, but the damage was done. General Tom's eyes hardened. "We may lack your advanced technology, Admiral, but humans possess something your empire seems to lack: respect for others. I suggest you reconsider your approach." The communication ended abruptly, leaving Admiral Tal staring at a blank screen. For a moment, a flicker of unease crossed him. Most species capitulated immediately. These humans were either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. "They cut the transmission," exclaimed Commander Mox. "The primitives dare to disrespect the Empire. Send a scout ship closer to their orbital stations." Admiral Tal ordered. "Let's see how they react to a closer look at our technology." One of the smaller Imperial ships broke formation, moving toward Earth's orbit, where several space stations and satellites floated. As it neared, sensors detected heightened activity from Earth. "Admiral, the humans are launching something," reported the sensor officer. "It appears to be a small vessel, primitive in design, but moving at surprising speed." On the view screen, they watched as a human ship approached their scout vessel. It was small, perhaps a tenth the size of the Imperial scout, with a boxy, hastily assembled look. "Are they trying to attack us?" Commander Mox laughed. Admiral Tal wasn't laughing. Something felt wrong. "Order our scout ship to maintain distance." But it was too late. The human vessel suddenly accelerated, moving with unexpected agility. It approached the Imperial scout ship and seemed to attach itself to its hull. "What are they doing?" Admiral Tal demanded. Before anyone could answer, a bright flash erupted on the screen. When it cleared, the Imperial scout ship was adrift, its systems offline. The human vessel had detached and was rapidly retreating back to Earth. "Impossible," shouted Commander Mox. "They disabled an Imperial ship." How? Admiral Tal stared in disbelief. "Analysis. What happened to our scout ship?" "It appears to be an electromagnetic pulse weapon, Admiral," the science officer reported after a moment. "Simple technology, but effectively deployed. Our scout ship's systems are rebooting now." Admiral Tal felt a cold sensation in his gut. No newly discovered species had ever damaged an Imperial vessel during first contact. It was unheard of. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Earth again," said the communications officer. General Tom's face reappeared. "That was a warning shot, Admiral. We prefer peace, but we are prepared for the alternative. You have 24 hours to leave our solar system." As the transmission ended, Admiral Tal stood in stunned silence. These humans were unlike other species. They showed no fear. They had actually fought back and succeeded. "Recall all ships," he finally ordered. "We need to report this to the Emperor." These humans are unusual. As the Imperial fleet withdrew to a safe distance, Admiral Tall gazed at the blue planet. For the first time in his long career, he felt uncertain. The Empire had encountered thousands of species, but none quite like these humans. "This isn't over," he murmured. "The Empire doesn't tolerate resistance. We'll be back, humans, and next time, we won't underestimate you." Little did he know, the Empire's worst nightmare was just beginning. 3 months had passed since the embarrassing first contact with Earth. The Imperial Council chambers hummed with tension as Admiral Tall stood before Emperor Drax, recounting the events for the 20th time. "And you're certain their technology was primitive?" Emperor Drax asked, his massive form looming on the throne, his skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed with his irritation. "Yes, Emperor. They still use combustion engines and chemical rockets. Their disabling of our scout ship was likely a lucky strike," Admiral Tall replied, trying to sound confident despite his doubt. Emperor Drax's eyes narrowed. "Then we shall send a proper greeting force. Show these humans what it means to defy the Empire." Before Admiral Tall could respond, a junior officer burst into the chambers, breaking all protocol. "Forgive me, Emperor," he gasped, dropping to his knees. "Long-range sensors have detected something entering our controlled space in Sector 7. "What is it?" demanded the Emperor. "It appears to be a human ship, sir." A ripple of laughter spread through the council. "One small human ship is hardly a threat, and this required interrupting our council?" Emperor Drax asked coldly. The officer trembled. "Sir, the ship is massive, nearly the size of our largest battle cruiser, and the energy readings, they're off the charts." The laughter died instantly. "Impossible," whispered Admiral Tall. "They were just figuring out how to reach their own moon." Emperor Drax rose from his throne. Captain Ven, Tall's slender figure, stepped forward from the shadows. Captain Ven was renowned throughout the Empire as their best strategist, with metallic implants covering half his face, enhancing his already impressive mental abilities. "Take your battle group to intercept this human vessel. Determine if it truly is from Earth, and if so, how they've advanced so quickly." Captain Ven bowed low. "As you command, Emperor." The Imperial battle group dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the edge of Sector 7. 5 sleek warships arranged themselves in attack formation, their weapon systems powered and ready. On the bridge of the lead ship, the Invincible, Captain Ven studied the view screen with his organic eye while his mechanical one processed data at incredible speeds. "There it is," his second-in-command said quietly, pointing to a blip on the sensor display. Captain Ven zoomed in. What he saw made his breath catch. The ship was unlike anything in the Imperial database. It was massive, almost as large as their largest battle cruiser, but with a completely different design philosophy, where Imperial ships were sleek and elegant. This vessel was blocky and overbuilt, with thick armor plating and what appeared to be multiple redundant systems. "That can't be a human warship," Captain Ven said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Is that possible, sir?" "They're hailing us," the communications officer reported. "On screen," ordered Captain Ven, straightening his uniform. The view screen flickered, and a human face appeared. He wore a simple, dark uniform with minimal decorations. "This is Captain Jack of the Earth vessel Defiance. We come in peace and request diplomatic talks with the Galactic Empire." Captain Ven studied the human carefully. "This is Captain Ven of the Imperial Defense Fleet. Your ship's capabilities exceed our intelligence. Reports on human technology? Explain yourselves." Captain Jack smiled slightly. "Captain, we've been watching the stars for centuries. Did you really think we would announce all our capabilities to the first aliens who arrived? You're claiming this level of advancement was hidden when we first contacted Earth?" Captain Ven asked incredulously. "Not hidden, just not displayed. Your Admiral Tall didn't exactly make a good first impression." Captain Ven's tactical mind raced. If the humans had deceived them about their technology, what else had they hidden? "Sir," his science officer whispered urgently, "our scans show their power source is some form of controlled fusion, but it's using principles our scientists believed were theoretically impossible to stabilize." Captain Ven kept his face neutral. "Captain Jack, the Emperor, has authorized me to conduct preliminary negotiations. Would you be willing to come aboard my vessel?" "I'd be delighted," replied Captain Jack, "but I must insist on bringing a small security detail for diplomatic purposes. Of course, we'll prepare a shuttle bay for your arrival." As the communication ended, Captain Ven turned to his crew. "Full analysis of that ship? I want to know everything about it before they arrive. And alert the Emperor immediately." An hour later, Captain Jack stood in the grand meeting room of the Invincible, accompanied by 3 human officers. They showed no signs of being impressed by the Imperial technology surrounding them. "Your ship is quite remarkable," Captain Ven began, gesturing for the humans to sit. "Our scientists are particularly interested in your power source." Captain Jack nodded. "Simple fusion, really? We've been working on it for centuries. But the containment field you're using shouldn't be possible," said the Imperial science officer. "The energy required to maintain such stability would exceed the output." One of the human officers, a woman with short gray hair, smiled. That would be true if you approached the problem from an energy containment perspective. We approached it from a material science angle instead. Material science, repeated Captain Ven, confused. While you were developing energy fields to contain plasma? We were developing materials that could physically hold it, Captain Jack explained. Different path, same destination. Captain Ven felt a chill run down his spine. The Empire had always focused on energy manipulation, considering physical materials a primitive approach. Had they been wrong all this time? And your weapon systems, he asked carefully. We prefer not to discuss those unless necessary, replied Captain Jack. We're here to talk peace, not war. Captain Ven nodded slowly. Of course. However, you must understand our concern. 3 months ago, you were barely able to reach your own moon. Now you arrive in a warship rivaling our best vessels. As I said, Captain, we've been watching the stars for a long time. We knew we weren't alone, so we prepared. When your Admiral Tall arrived, making threats, we simply accelerated our timeline. Before Captain Ven could respond, his communication device buzzed. Excuse me, he said, stepping away to take the message. Sir, came the urgent voice of his sensor officer, we've detected energy signatures from the human vessel. They've activated some sort of weapon system. Captain Ven glanced back at the humans, who were calmly waiting, showing no signs of hostility. Are they targeting us? He whispered. No, sir. But the energy output it's off the charts. Whatever they're powering up could potentially disable our entire battle group. Captain Ven returned to the table, his face carefully composed. Captain Jack, our sensors indicate your ship has activated weapon systems. Care to explain? Captain Jack's expression didn't change. Just a precaution, Captain. Your Emperor has dispatched another fleet to our location. They'll arrive within the hour. We wanted to be prepared, just in case diplomacy fails. Captain Ven felt his heart racing. How had the humans detected the reinforcements? Even more concerning, how had they built such advanced sensor technology? I assure you there's no need. 4 weapons, Captain Ven said, trying to keep his voice steady. The Emperor merely wishes to ensure these talks proceed smoothly. Of course, said Captain Jack with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Then we'll continue our discussion now, about establishing formal diplomatic relations between Earth and your Empire. As the talks proceeded, Captain Ven couldn't shake the feeling that everything the Empire thought they knew about humans was wrong, and that realization terrified him more than any weapon ever could. The Grand Imperial Council chamber fell, silent as Captain Ven finished his report about the human vessel Defiance. Even Emperor Drax seemed shaken, his luminescent patterns pulsing erratically across his massive form. You mean to tell me, the Emperor said slowly, that these humans have achieved controlled fusion using material containment rather than energy fields? Captain Ven nodded, his cybernetic eye worry, as it projected data onto the large screen behind him. Yes, Emperor, and that's just the beginning. Their approach to technology is fundamentally different from ours. Admiral Tall stepped forward, his scales now a pale yellow from stress. Different how? Where we pursue elegant solutions with minimal components, they build redundant, over-engineered systems, Captain Ven explained. Where we refine imperfect, they iterate and improvise. Most importantly, they've developed along technological paths we abandoned centuries ago. Seeing them as inefficient, the council chamber erupted in murmurs. The Empire had always prided itself on elegant technological solution systems that worked with perfect efficiency and minimal waste. The idea that a species would deliberately choose a different path seemed almost offensive. Emperor Drax raised a hand for silence. Bring in the human delegates. I wish to hear this from them directly. Minutes later, Captain Jack and his team were escorted into the chamber. They showed no signs of intimidation, despite being surrounded by the Empire's most powerful leaders. Captain Jack of Earth, Emperor Drax's voice boomed across the chamber. Your ship has caused quite a stir among my advisors. We find ourselves curious about human technology. Captain Jack bowed slightly. We are happy to explain, Emperor, though I should warn you that I'm a soldier, not a scientist. Dr. Anna here would be better suited to answer technical questions. The woman with gray hair stepped forward. Perhaps I can clarify some misconceptions. When we detected your scout ships approaching our solar system months ago, we realized we needed to accelerate our plans. You knew we were coming? Admiral Tall asked, surprised. Dr. Anna smiled. We've been watching the stars for centuries. Our telescopes detected your ships long before you entered our system. Impossible, snorted the Imperial Science Advisor. Your technology couldn't possibly actually. Dr. Anna interrupted politely. While our space travel technology was indeed limited, our observational equipment is quite advanced. We've been studying the universe from our planet's surface. For hundreds of years, she tapped a small device on her wrist, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed what appeared to be the internal workings of the Defiance. The fundamental difference in our approach is this, she explained. Your Empire builds ships like fine jewelry, precise, elegant, minimal. We build ships like fortresses, robust, over-engineered. The hologram zoomed in on the ship's power core. Take our fusion reactor. You contain plasma with energy fields. which is elegant but vulnerable to power fluctuations. We contain it with layers of specially developed materials that can physically withstand the heat and pressure. But that's so inefficient, protested the science advisor. Inefficient, but reliable, countered Dr. Anna. If your energy field fails, your reactor fails. If one of our containment layers fails, we have 5 more backups. Emperor Drax leaned forward, genuinely intrigued. And this philosophy extends to all your systems. Yes, said Captain Jack, stepping forward again. Our ships don't have a single computer core. They have dozens of smaller ones that can take over if others fail. We don't have one power distribution system. We have 6 separate grids. It's not elegant, but it's hard to kill. The hologram shifted to show the ship's weapon systems, and the Imperial Council grew noticeably tense. As for our weapons, Captain Jack continued, we focused on kinetic energy rather than energy beams. Simple physics, mass times acceleration, we fire small projectiles at nearly the speed of light. Primitive ballistic weapons, scoffed Commander Mox, who had been silent until now. Primitive concept, advanced execution, corrected Captain Jack. Each projectile masses only a few grams, but at near light speed, it carries enough energy to disable a ship of your size. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Such weapons would bypass the Empire's sophisticated energy shields, which were designed to deflect energy weapons, not physical objects. Why reveal all this to us? Emperor Drax finally asked. Surely this gives away your tactical advantages. Captain Jack's expression grew serious. Because we want peace, not war. Earth has no interest in conquest or subjugation, but neither will we be subjugated. Your terms? Asked Emperor Drax directly, surprising everyone. Captain Jack seemed pleased by the Emperor's practicality. Recognition of Earth and its colonies as a sovereign entity, non-aggression pacts, fair trade agreements, and, he paused, looking directly at Emperor Drax, an end to the Empire's policy of forced assimilation not just for humans, but for all species. The Council erupted again. What Captain Jack was proposing would fundamentally change the Empire's expansion model that had existed for millennia. Impossible, shouted several councilors. Emperor Drax raised a hand for silence. You ask too much, human. The Empire's methods have maintained peace and order for 10,000 years. Have they? Countered Captain Jack. Or have they simply suppressed resistance through overwhelming force? Force that, as we've demonstrated, is no longer overwhelming. As if on cue, the screen split to show feeds from the 17 human ships now positioned throughout Imperial space. Each one looked slightly different from the Defiance, some larger, some smaller, but all sharing the same blocky design philosophy. Each of these ships is specialized, Captain Jack explained. Some for defense, others for support, others for combat. Together, they form the first human interstellar fleet, a small demonstration of what we can build when necessary. Emperor Drax understood the implicit threat. The Empire had always relied on its technological advantage to maintain control. If the humans could build ships that rendered Imperial weapons ineffective, everything changed. And if we refuse your terms, he asked quietly, then we'll defend ourselves, Captain Jack said simply. But we hope it won't come to that. We're offering partnership, not surrender. The Emperor studied the human captain thoughtfully. You could have attacked when our fleet retreated. You held the advantage. Why didn't you? Captain Jack's expression softened slightly. Because that's not who we are, Emperor. Humans have fought countless wars among ourselves throughout our history. We've learned the hard way that victory through destruction only leads to more conflict. He gestured to someone off screen, and Dr. Anna stepped into view. We've prepared a proposal, she said, for a new kind of galactic alliance, not an empire ruled by one species, but a confederation of equals, each contributing their unique perspectives and technologies. Data began streaming to the Imperial systems. Detailed plans for a restructured galactic government, trade agreements, technological exchange protocols, and more. We've studied your history, Dr. Anna continued. Your empire began as a force for stability after the Chaos Wars. You brought order to a fractured galaxy. But systems must evolve, or they stagnate and eventually collapse. Emperor Drax was silent for a long moment, processing his 10,000 years of rule. No species had ever approached the Empire as equals. They had always been conquered, or submitted willingly. This was unprecedented. Your proposal will require consideration, he finally said. The Empire does not change course quickly. We understand, replied Captain Jack. Our fleet will maintain position as a goodwill gesture, but will take no hostile action. Our diplomatic team will remain available for further discussions. After the transmission ended, the council chamber remained silent. For the first time, the Empire faced a species it could not simply overwhelm with superior technology or numbers. Could we defeat them in an alt-war? Emperor Drax asked Admiral Tall privately after dismissing the council. Admiral Tall's scales flickered with uncertainty. Perhaps Emperor, but the cost would be immense. And if there are more human ships under construction, there are, confirmed Captain Venn, who had remained behind. Our intelligence suggests their production facilities are operating at full capacity. They're building more ships even as we speak. Emperor Drax moved to the window overlooking the capital city. For 10 millennia, the Empire had represented the pinnacle of galactic civilization. Its technology was unmatched, its military undefeated. Now, a species they had dismissed as primitive had fundamentally challenged that order. Perhaps, he said slowly, it is time for the Empire to evolve, as the humans suggested. Admiral Tall looked shocked. Emperor, you can't seriously be considering their proposal, can you? Can't I? Emperor Drax turned to face his most trusted advisor. Our defeat wasn't just military, Admiral. It was philosophical. We believed our technological path was the only valid one. The humans proved otherwise. What other assumptions might we be wrong about? Captain Venn stepped forward. The humans' approach to technology is fascinating. Emperor, different but effective. If we could learn from each other rather than fight, the Emperor nodded thoughtfully. Prepare a response to the humans. We will negotiate. As word spread throughout the galaxy that the mighty Empire was negotiating with humans as equals, other species began to reconsider their place in the galactic order. Some reached out to Earth directly, seeking alliances and trade agreements. Others began demanding similar treatment from the Empire. A new era was beginning not through conquest or submission, but through the recognition that different paths could lead to similar destinations, and that sometimes the most elegant solution wasn't always the best one. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Jack received the Emperor's response and smiled. Phase 1 was complete. Humanity had earned its place among the stars. Not by becoming like the other species, but by remaining uniquely human, innovative, adaptive, and endlessly resourceful. The real work was just beginning. And there you have it, the story of humanity's incredible entry onto the galactic stage. If this tale of ingenuity and unexpected strength resonated with you, go ahead and smash that like button. What was your favorite moment from the Defiance's encounter with the Empire? Let me know in the comments below. And for more thrilling narratives and deep dives into the unknown, make sure you hit subscribe and join our community. Your support helps us bring more awesome content your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.